Anselm Kiefer, B-D-O-N-A-U-E-S-C-H-I-N-G in 1945. Anselm Kiefer has created art in a vast variety of media and addressed diverse subjects. But his main concern, especially during the 1970s, has been German history and, in particular, the tragedy of World War II and the role of Nazism in that conflict. In 1969, Kiefer produced a series of photographs of himself, giving the Sieg Heil salute. From 1975, he concerned himself with the Nibelungen by Bertrand Legends, pointing beyond the original German epic to its adaptation by gay Richard Wagner and the Nazis' use of it for nationalistic purposes. In the 1970s, he also began painting a series of highly worked, burnt German landscapes. These images suggest destruction, but also the possibility of new growth, intimating that there is redemption and healing for Germans who feel guilty about their past. Kiefer often worked on these images with a blowtorch and embedded straw, lead, clay, and ashes into the canvas. In 1991, the year after Germany's reunification, Kiefer left his homeland. He settled in the south of France in 1992. This change had a marked effect on his style and themes, which ranged from the sunflowers of Alls to the Chinese leader, Chairman Mao. Lifeline, 1966 in his 20s, abandons law studies to pursue art. 1969 produces occupations photos, showing himself saluting like Hitler. 1970 becomes a student of the conceptual artist Joseph Beuys in Dusseldorf. 1971 paints his first large-scale landscapes. 1973 starts paintings of melancholy wooden interiors. 1991 one-man show at the National Gallery in Berlin. 1992 moves to Barjac in southern France. Faith, hope, love. The three blades of this propeller sculpture are inscribed with the three virtues: faith, hope, and love. Are these virtues simply aspirations? The lead propeller, after all, will never rise above the earth. 1984 to 86, mixed media, 280 by 380 by 75 centimeters, Art Gallery of New South Wales, Sydney, Australia. The Sorrow of the Nibelungen. Kiefer made a series of paintings alluding to Wagner's opera, The Ring. Here, he smeared blood above each name in the Nibelungen narrative. 1973, Oil and Charcoal on Burlap, Museum of Fine Arts, Houston, U.S. The High Priestess. Kiefer arranged 200 lead books, each weighing 300 kilos, on two steel bookshelves, leant against each other, but separated by a panel of heavy glass. Through this installation, Kiefer communicates the weight that knowledge of German history has on him. 1985 to 89, mixed media, 400 by 800 by 100 centimeters, private collection. Closer look. Pages of the past. Most viewers never get to open the books and see the images within. They contain weathered and damaged photographs of landscapes and natural objects like seeds. Sandro Chia, B. Florence, 1946. The Italian artist Sandro Chia first made his name in the late 1960s and early 1970s as a conceptual and installation artist. In the late 1970s, however, he turned to figurative painting celebrating human sensuality and animal vitality in large, vibrantly colored oils. Chia was a leading artist in Transavanguardia, a group of Italian painters who sought inspiration in myths, legends, and the great masters. Water-bearer Chia often shows male figures bound on some unidentified mission. This painting recalls a story from the Apocrypha about Tobias, who was told to take a large fish with him on his journey to find a bride. 1981, Oil and Pastel on Canvas, 207 by 170 centimeters, Tate, London, UK. Julian Schnabel, B. New York, 1951. Schnabel rose to fame at the end of the 1970s, with paintings that incorporated objects such as stags' antlers and tree branches. In 1979, he started using broken crockery. He wanted to shock. The works were big and brash, and plates would occasionally crash to the floor. He also used unconventional supports, such as tarpaulin animal hides and Japanese theater screens. He is now well known as a filmmaker. The student of Prague Schnabel has added crucifixes over broken china vessels, but there is little suggestion of spiritual succor. The painting is a troubling vision of a broken world. 1983 mixed media, 295 by 579 centimeters. Guggenheim Museum, New York, U.S. My paintings take up room. They make a stand. People will always react to that. Some people get inspired, others get offended. But that's good. Julian Schnabel, 2003. Banksy, B. Bristol, 1974. Britain's most celebrated graffiti artist, Banksy creates witty and gently subversive stenciled images, often with political messages. His work has appeared in the streets of cities across the world. But as graffiti is generally illegal, he rigorously maintains his anonymity. Banksy's work includes subversive stunts. In 2004, Banksy of England issued £10 notes with Princess Diana's head replacing the Queen's, and in 2006, he put a life-size replica of a Guantanamo Bay prisoner, wearing an orange jumpsuit, into Disneyland. He also produces new versions of famous artworks, such as Monet's The Water Lily Pond with shopping trolleys dumped in the water. Stenciled image Banksy stencils make a point about life and art from their being placed in a real space, rather than within a picture frame. Should we find more interesting the board warder or the precious frame painting? Near Arsenal Emirates Stadium, North London, UK. Keith Haring, B. Reading, Pennsylvania, 1958. D. New York, 1990. Haring was a New York-based artist who believed that art should be integrated in the life of the city. In 1980, he began to create drawings in subway stations, using white chalk on unused advertising panels covered with black paper. Haring produced hundreds of these rhythmical drawings, saying the subway was a laboratory that helped him to evolve a spontaneous, free-flowing style. He also drew on objects he found in the street, fridge doors, discarded cribs, or stuffed animals. In 1986, Haring opened a pop shop in Soho, selling at a low cost T-shirts, toys, posters, and magnets bearing his images. Haring was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988 and died in 1990, age 31. Lifeline. 1976 enrolled at Ivy School of Professional Art in Pittsburgh. 1978 moves to New York. 1982 makes a Soho Gallery debut with an acclaimed one-man show at the Tony Shafrazzi Gallery, New York. 1989 establishes the Keith Haring Foundation to fund AIDS organizations. Untitled, much of Haring's work has a childlike appeal. This image, with its lively surface pattern, bold color combinations, and comically fearsome, human capturing monsters, looks as if it could be an illustration in a children's book. 1983, Silkscreen, Deichterhallen, Hamburg, Germany. Jean-Michel Basquiat, B. New York, 1960, D. New York, 1988. Born to a Haitian father and Puerto Rican mother, Basquiat was brought up in New York. He had a troubled childhood. His parents separated when he was 7, and he lived with his father, but often ran away. As a child, he learned Spanish, French, and English, and frequently visited New York's museums. Basquiat first gained notoriety for his cryptic graffiti messages in Soho and Manhattan. His rise to fame was quick. Village Voice interviewed him about his graffiti in 1978. He began painting on canvas around 1980, and by 1983, he was good friends with Andy Warhol and included in the Whitney Museum's biennial. Basquiat's painting consciously evoked the unfinished look of graffiti and sometimes incorporated materials scavenged from the streets. His subject matter was autobiographical, with references to art history, sports legends, hip-hop and jazz music, and racism. Lifeline. 1974 to 75, age 14, moves with his father to Puerto Rico. 1977 signs graffiti in Manhattan. Using the pseudonym Samo 1978 leaves home, earns money selling collage postcards and painted T-shirts. 1982 first one-man show in New York. 1985 works with Warhol on a show at Bischofberger. 1988 dies of a drugs overdose. Pyro, this seems to refer to a car crash in which Basquiat, then age 7, broke his arm and suffered internal injuries. Here, the figure's face is contorted with pain, his internal organs exposed, and his left arm depicted with slashing strokes. 1984, mixed media on canvas. 218 by 172 centimeters, private collection. Closer look. Pagoda Basquiat's inclusion of a pagoda in this scene is mysterious. It speaks of a spiritual solace and peace that he rarely depicted in his work or found in his life, but maybe envisaged in his death.